Hey guys, welcome back to my series where I go episode by episode in the new Amazon Prime Wheel of Time show to tell you the differences between it and the book. Going forward, things that I say might give you hints about who the Dragon Reborn is. So if you're very concerned about getting no hints about who that is, I would not watch this episode. Let's get into it. Okay, we never see Suian's backstory in the books. She does go up like a fisher girl in Tyr. However, like the rest of this doesn't happen or we don't see it. And it's known that she's sent to the White Tower the second that a spark comes, so it's not like she's been hiding her one power with her dad. This doesn't happen, like I said, but the Dragon's Fang is a thing. It gets put on doors if they think something crazy is happening. It's kind of like a witch hunt thing. I'm really happy we finally see Moiraine's jewel. This is a thing from the very beginning of the book. It enhances her ability, and we see it a lot in the Two Rivers. We haven't really seen it, so I like that at least they show it. We don't see this trial on screen. It happens off screen, and he wasn't gentle during the trial. He was gentled after. Since we only see him gentled in the book after Rand sees him very briefly, like I talked about previously, he's pretty subdued after. That's what happens. But maybe this is just like an attempt for them to show how much he wants to die because he's been cut off from the source, because that is a thing. But like, he doesn't like attack anyone kind of like this. Here's a question. Can men still go mad after being gentled? I was under the impression that they couldn't keep going mad after being gentled. I looked it up and couldn't find anything about it. I don't remember that being a thing, but I could be wrong. So only Moiraine was in trouble when they went to the tower. It obviously happened at a different time in the books. We've talked about the timing a lot. Since that Logain thing wasn't on screen, it wasn't also at the same time as that. Nynaeve is super strong, so this thing about her being the strongest channeler in 1,000 years is a thing. I'm glad they're finally talking about it. But by the time we actually get to Tar Valon in the books, Moiraine does know. She knew when they were in the forest, and I've talked about that in previous episodes. I'm unsure if in the show they're trying to imply she knew or not, but she hides it a little bit from the other Aes Sedai, but not necessarily from the Emerald Seat. Blues are known as trying to save the world, so it's just like a little different in the book, but I mean, I think they got the main thing out. Secrets are definitely a blue thing. The punishment scene with Moiraine is not this dramatic. There isn't like bowing or kissing the floor, stuff like that. Again, this isn't how Moiraine finds them. I don't think I need to talk about Camelin anymore. You guys are tired of that. No one thinks Mat is sick at this point because of the power. We've known it was the dagger for a long time at this point. I mean, I guess at this point, it's hard to tell because Tar Valon was like so at a different point in book 2. Okay, we gotta talk for a little bit here about this healing scene. This is not how the healing goes. First of all, Mat is sick for way longer. Mild spoiler if you're gonna read the books, like he is sick all through book 1 and all of book 2. They have to keep like mini healing him with the other Aes Sedai before he wastes away, but like their healing does less and less. In fact, we haven't met Varen yet. How have I not been more upset about this in previous? I was upset all about Elias, but I'm upset about not meeting Varen. Anyway, I'm sorry. That was a rant. And then when he does finally get healed, it takes an entire team of Aes Sedai to heal him. Like many. One could not do it. He's like so sick and he can never be separated from the dagger or it would kill him. And like, because they weren't in Tar Valon yet, like the whole first and second book is them trying to get him to Tar Valon so he can be healed. Ooh, burn. Yeah, Moiraine. Kind of like that interaction. Why? So many boobs and butts and bathing scenes. I am not a fan. We can talk about it later. People do want Moiraine to stay in the tower. The exact convo doesn't happen this way and with this person. Moiraine doesn't want to stay. She wants to go back out, but people do think it's time for her to stay. I don't think Moiraine ever pretends that she doesn't know where the other people are to the other Two Rivers people. I'm pretty sure she tells them. Yeah, the rings don't exist. We've talked about this, so this doesn't happen. This also doesn't happen. We already know the deal with Perrin at this point in the books, so we wouldn't question this about Perrin. This portal thing doesn't exist. Moiraine just meets with Swan in her office. It's much less dramatic. Yeah, so this is the thing. So like Moiraine and Swan hide their relationship. They're really good friends and they pretend to be mad at each other. Oh, but not this close. They're not this good friends. Okay, so Moiraine and Swan are not in a relationship in the books. They're just actually friends. I guess like they're pillow pals when they're younger, which is implied to be like a thing when all the novices and accepted are younger. They kind of like get with each other a little bit, but definitely not when they're adults. So by the time she meets with Swan in the books, which we don't see to the very beginning of book 2, she knows who the Dragon Reborn is. Now Moiraine doesn't know in the book who the Dragon Reborn is in Eye of the World, but we as readers know who it is. It's not a mystery, but by the time she does meet with Swan, she knows who it is and tells her who it is. Yeah, this dragon soul is split maybe and multiple people is never a thing, and I will be upset if they make it a thing. Let it be known now. So Swan isn't a dreamer in the books. This is kind of interesting that they're having her be a dreamer instead of somebody else that it would make sense to have be a dreamer, who is one in the books. So they don't go to the Eye of the World because of Swan's dream. It's for several different reasons. Like Perrin and Egwene heard things in the White Cloak camp about the Eye of the World, like rumors, and Loyal also hears things about it and tells Moiraine, and then Perrin, Matt, and Rand are the ones having dreams about it, and that's why they go. So this is like, I guess you could say kind of a thing. Once they actually get to Tarvalon or are traveling there, people are asking Egwene and Nynaeve and another character we haven't met yet specifically about the boys. They are trying to get more information about them, so like that's kind of a thing. But I don't think Leandrin has a man in the books. This isn't a thing. I don't think Egwene and Nynaeve ever get called to the Amarillan like this. They don't really have an audience. They do talk to her because they travel together to get to Tarvalon. So like that's very different, right? When we actually meet the Amarillan seat, it is not in Tarvalon at the beginning of book 2, and Egwene and Nynaeve travel with her to get to Tarvalon. I won't talk about which location they were in because I think that's going to be shown in the show maybe. So this scene, like I feel like I wish they would have showed that Egwene wants to be at the tower. Like that's a really big part of her plot in the first book. Egwene is, unlike Nynaeve, is not scared of the tower and wants to kind of be there and become an Aes Sedai. I feel like it's weird that the White Tower is so empty. I feel like I've heard other people talking about it, but it didn't really bother me till this episode. Like, why haven't we seen any novices or accepted yet? It should have like servants and tons of warders and tons of these Aes Sedai in training. It's weird that like we haven't seen any of that. So Moiraine doesn't get exiled from the tower, and I don't think the Oath Rod was ever used for this purpose. I can't remember it ever being used for this, and I looked it up and I couldn't find anything on it being used like this. So usually the Oath Rod is only used for the 3 oaths that the Aes Sedai have to swear at the like when they become full Aes Sedai. It is used later in the books to like test people to see if they've broken those oaths, but I don't think ever an exile oath. Man, Moiraine looks too much like a real human size on that horse, am I right? I'm really surprised we haven't talked about steadings yet. It feels like it'd be such an easy throwaway line, like why haven't we talked more about steadings? So this isn't how a waygate looks in the book. It has a pattern of leaves on it, like it's a straight stone door, and then you open it with like this special leaf key on the side, and then it makes the stone come to life and look like the leaves are flowing up or whatever. And so you don't need the 1 power to open the waygate, and I feel like that's kind of an interesting change, and it might come to bite them later. Although they are cutting a ton of stuff out, so we might just like never get to that point where it matters. But it would matter in the book if you needed the 1 power to open the waygate. You can also bring horses into the ways. They bring horses into the ways in the book. Again, this isn't really the circumstance in which they go to the Eye of the World, so this conversation doesn't really happen. What? Matt does not stay behind. Okay, so I struggled a bit with this episode, I won't lie. You know, I know a lot of stuff has been changed, and I've been keeping really positive about it because that's just kind of who I am. I like to be positive about this stuff, but I'm now struggling because we haven't covered enough distance in these last 2 episodes. I'm getting a little concerned at how worried they are about this deep character development, because I feel like, well, we'll learn about these characters over seasons. Like, there's a certain level of plot that we also need to get through. And I don't necessarily know now if they are using their character time on the right characters. Now, let's be clear. Moiraine is my favorite character in the entire series. So the fact that this show wants to give her way more airtime is not something I'm going to complain about. But after the last 2 episodes, I'm starting to feel like, okay, we are getting a lot of character development on characters that maybe aren't quite as important as our main people. I'm talking to Egwene and Nynaeve and Matt and Rand and Perrin. I don't think they're getting enough time, even Loyal. Like, couldn't we have taken a few minutes from the warder last episode and a few minutes from Moraine's backstory in this episode and given it to Loyal, given a little bit more time with some of our more primary characters? And the fact that we have 2 episodes left, and the next one's called like something about Into the Ways, and then the last one's Eye of the World, like, we've got a lot of plot to cover, and I'm realizing, like, are we cutting out all of Lan stuff that's supposed to happen at the Blight? Like, where are we gonna get that? Like, that's pretty important. And so I'm just a little concerned by the lack of plot moving in 2 episodes. An 8-episode show doesn't have that much time. Let's talk about the Moiraine and Suan relationship. On the one hand, I loathe Moraine's actual relationship in the books. Now, to avoid spoilers, I won't say when it happens, but it happens much, much, much later. Moiraine doesn't have a relationship for most of the series. It's later, and it is with a man, and I hate it. I was really hoping the show would get rid of it. So if they're gonna get rid of it, great. No one can convince me to like it. So it's not that upsets me, because I would like it to be different. And you know what? Honestly, Suan makes way more sense than her real romance. So like, I'm on board for that part. The thing I'm not on board for is, like, for me, I'd rather Moiraine have no relationship, because she really is married to her cause in the first bit, which is why her romance doesn't come till way later. So I think that bothers me a little bit. But the thing that bothers me more is that Suan and Moiraine have a great female friendship. And female friendships are very hard to find in adult fantasy. It is something I've complained about a lot, and a lot of people I know complain about. We have a lot of great male and male friendships. We have a lot of great female and female romances that I've read, but very few, like some of the big authors, don't do a lot of great female-female friendships. And I had just found out, I think 2 episodes ago, that one of my very favorite female friendships of all time, which is in the series, 2 characters you haven't met, so I won't spoil it, they are also going to have a romantic relationship in the show now. And so the loss of 2 huge female friendships, which are already kind of rare in adult fantasy, is just bumming me out, because those were the 2 friendships that I liked the most, for the most part. I really do like Swan and Leanne's relationship, so hopefully we'll get to see some of that. So I'm just unsure about that change. On the one hand, like I said, better than her original romance, but I have no idea what they're doing with Matt at this point. Why is he being left behind? Is this like because he picked up the dagger again or something? Because Moiraine was like, he can't touch the dagger again. And we don't even go back to that, like how Matt is. And also we just see him again healed. Like I would have liked more time there. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna be doing? You guys tell, I read the books. What's he going to be doing if he's not with them? Like, okay, because I was getting so sassy about the Matt changes, I totally forgot to talk about the nudity in this scene. I'm just a little annoyed by the nudity because it seems so purposefulless. Like, I get it, Game of Thrones was successful, but Wheel of Time is not Game of Thrones, and if the only way to make your show quote-unquote adult is to show nudity, it just makes no sense, especially because there are scenes in this book that would make actual sense that are canonically nude. For example, the accepted ritual. So they could wait for that. These bathing scenes are just so confusing to me and seem extremely unnecessary, and I am just someone who is not down for unnecessary nudity. That may be a very unpopular opinion, but I just had to state it. I feel like this was the episode that made me feel like I need to disassociate, and that I did these are for fun. I don't know if people know that. When doing these comparisons isn't trying to hate on the show, in fact, at all. I just think it's very fun. I thought a lot of people would be interested in knowing the differences. And now it's becoming less fun for me because before I was really understanding the differences. This is an adaptation. And now I'm just like not sure where we're gonna go from here. So I'll be very interested to see the next 2 episodes. Either way, let me know how you feel about the changes in the comments below. I'm very interested to have a discussion. Maybe you guys can make me feel a little better about some of the changes. Let me know you think what they're doing with Matt, because I am personally confused. And as always, if you like these type of videos, the best way to support me is to subscribe. And if you want to see what I'm currently reading as well as other nerdy rants, you can check me out on Instagram at bookborn.reviews. I'll see you next time. Bye.